So November is kicking off in a huge way this weekend in the world of college football, a battle for SEC East supremacy. All eyes will be on Florida and Georgia, the SEC on CBS Game of the Week. The 5th-ranked Dogs will face the 8th-ranked Florida Gators in Jacksonville. This is also a game that can very well determine who earns a spot in the SEC championship game. So taking a look at the standings where they are right now, Georgia there on top of Florida. Both teams with just one loss so far. Florida falling to Texas A&M, Georgia taken down by the Crimson Tide. So we are very excited to be joined by Gary Danielson. He will be on the call for the SEC on CBS Game of the Week. Gary talked about the massive implications of this game. It could possibly be a track to the SEC title game. Set the stage for us as we head into it.
Well, similarly, Amanda, if you look at just a year ago, it was basically the same formula. Two teams, I think they were 6-8 last year. They both had one loss, exactly like we have going into this football game. And the winner ended up being Georgia last year, and they basically had a 2-game lead. So that's the storyline going into this game. The winner, for all intents and purposes, will go to Atlanta and play for the championship of the SEC. I'm assuming it's going to be Alabama, but we never know. And this game is a little different than last year because some of the talent has kind of shifted in this game.
You know, I want to talk about the fight that you saw, that I saw, we all saw play out on social media between Florida and Mizzou. You get Dan Mullen actually coming in at this game literally kind of with some scuff marks on them. Do you think there's going to be any fallout from that we'll see reflected in this game?
I really don't. I mean, listen, college football, pro football, high school football sometimes is very emotional out there. And we all do things. You know, when I played, I threw a ball at a guy, sometimes people get mad. The head coach should be more in control, and I agree with the criticism that Dan caught. But all in all, I think the fine that was levied was enough. I don't think he should have been suspended. Now, I think he, is on his best behavior from going on now, and he should have handled it better, but, sometimes things just get away from you. And all in all, I think, the game will just take over. This is too big a stakes for it to be too emotional in this football game and making dumb penalties in a game like this.
All right, staying with Florida here for a second. We can call them the Swamp Brothers, the Super Swamp Brothers, the Kyle Brothers, whatever you want to call them. It is a dynamic duo between Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts. Are they becoming, not only for this game, but just in the SEC, the biggest matchup problem?
Well, I think Mac Jones and Devontae Smith might be able to argue that fact. But for Florida, when you have a tight end that, he broke into this league playing a little bit of wide receiver, his size and speed does cause defenses to figure out where he is all the time. It was the same formula last year. The real difference is Kyle Trask has had a year to gain more experience. He's more comfortable in the offense. Dan Mullen is more comfortable calling plays and giving him more of the controls of the offense. And with Richard LeCount out, the safety that matched up with him last year in this game, knocked down a couple passes, that's a mismatch that could be taken advantage of for Florida. In fact, for Florida to win this game, that's a matchup they really have to at least take advantage of in this game. And Kyle Trask should be up to it. College football has become an offensive game. And I think the big advantage and the biggest difference between this year's game and last year's game, I think the quarterback play the last few years in this game kind of leaned towards Georgia. In this game, the advantage obviously was Stetson Bennett playing quarterback at Georgia, and Kyle Trask at Florida really falls at Florida, and they have to win that matchup to win the game.
All right, you mentioned Stetson Bennett, and I want to talk to him. He's had 5 interceptions now in the past 2 games, especially after last week against Kentucky. A lot of people thought that we would see Kirby Smart move on, but he said this week on Monday that he thinks that Stetson Bennett gives them the best chance to win right now. Are you surprised that he decided to stay with them?
I guess not really. I mean, there's a lot of talent at quarterback position at Georgia, but there's been a lot of shuffling around, players transferring, players opting out, players with bad knees, players who got an opportunity in the first game that weren't quite ready. But when you're lining up in the SEC with a quarterback that you had, penciled in as your number 4 quarterback, and now he's leading you, it's not something that any team could ride through and success. Now, Stetson has a lot of abilities, but in this league, if you're not really good, you get exposed. And, you know, he doesn't have a lot of experience. I've seen him do a lot of good things. I've seen him do a few bad things. I do think he's going to have to up his game to beat Florida in this game, though. He's going to have to cut down on the mistakes, learn to throw through the lanes instead of trying to throw over the defensive lineman, and that comes with experience. And maybe this will be the game that he figures out to throw through the lanes and between those big bodies instead of trying to go over them.
Growing pains can be a little bit difficult. All right, let's look at this game overall. You get Florida, you get the Swamp Brothers and that offense, you get Georgia's stout defense. Give us your expectations for this game.
Usually it's the team that runs the ball, and that's important. I mean, Georgia has to help out Stetson Bennett. I know we saw last week LSU was counting on their run game against Auburn to help out TJ Finley, a player that didn't have a lot of experience at quarterback. Auburn shut down the run game, and TJ couldn't quite handle the moment. So, yes, the running game has to help. But really, to me, I think the team that wins third down, it's been really strongly in favor of Georgia the last 2 years. I think Florida has to figure out a way to get off the field on third down. If they can flop it, give that advantage to them this year, that could be the difference in the game.
All right, Gary, thanks for joining us. Have a safe drive up there to Jacksonville. We'll be listening to you and we'll be watching. Gary Danielson, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, so you can check it out. There it is, a lot on the line for this game. Florida taking on Georgia, the SEC game of the week. Starts at 3:30 Eastern on CBS.